Ripple and XRP in the USA. Now, of course, Ripple based out of America, the little startup out of San Francisco, and XRP definitely already here in America with plenty of us holding onto the token, waiting to use it, waiting to spend it, waiting for it to go up to a higher price, hopefully one day. But we've had this cloud overhanging us of this SEC lawsuit, but the end is in sight. Now, full update for you guys here. We're going to go through this rather quickly because I want to get straight to the point for you guys. But we got to talk the decision here from the Fed to pause once again, how that's impacting the markets. And then we're going to take a look at the ruling there from Judge Netburn on basically granting the SEC all of their wishes. And then we're going to take a look at what exactly Ripple just announced, low key, little LinkedIn post where nobody was really paying attention. And of course, XRP and the community here, we're watching everything that comes out of any employee of Ripple, present, former. We decode the riddles. We do whatever we can to figure out what's happening in this story, this case that we're watching. And the nonchalant post on LinkedIn that Ripple is going to be going live with additional new products here in the United States for Ripple payments. This is good news with DeFi coming to the XRP ledger for all of us to play with. Big, small, we don't have to wait for Ripple to build something. It's going to be up to us now to build our businesses. We giving tools to the devs. Let's get to building. This is great news. So let's get right through it, folks. We got a lot to cover. Let's get started. So that was quick. Prediction markets are now showing just 4 interest rate cuts in 2024. As we've been saying, we've been making fun of the markets, the same markets that predicted 6 rate cuts last year, and we got none. Now they were predicting 6, 7 rate cuts this year. Now that's dropped off on just 4 rate cuts after Powell said in his 60-minute session that it's most likely that we'll get 3 cuts, not 6. Now, this is quickly changing. Still, 4 rate cuts in 2024 is one more than the Fed is guiding. Higher for longer wins again. How is this impacting the markets? Well, let's take a look at it. So we have this headline right here from Bloomberg News. Let me pull this over for you. Bonds fall after 1-2 punch of ISM Fed speak. Markets wrap. And so what we're talking about here is ISM service data in manufacturing. And so we got data points coming out here, and we have the Fed also saying what we've been talking about, right? That the rates were going to stay higher for longer. Daddy Powell wasn't going to come in and take it easy on us quite yet. And Wall Street traders sent bonds sliding once again after stronger than estimated economic data and signals that the Federal Reserve isn't ready to call victory over inflation just yet. So it was a 1-2 punch, sending the 10-year yield up 14 basis points to 4.16. Let's see where it finished off here, right on over to the chart for the 10-year. And so you can see it went all the way up to 4.179, almost up to 4.18, right? And so big green candles getting printed. This is the daily chart, by the way. So the market responding right away, 10-year up, 2-year up. And remember, the 10-year is what your mortgage rate is based off of. So we slide over here. You've had 2 months now where mortgage rates have been below 7%. They first dropped below 7% in mid-December, December 14th. This is from the Fred economic data, right? And so December 14th, the average 30-year fixed rate dropped down to 6.95. So you've had about a month and a half to take advantage of sub 7% rates. And I don't know about you guys. I was getting the messages from the realtors, hey, I got somebody that can bring it down to 6.5. I got someone 6.75. They were pounding my phone. I guess, there's very few people that are still showing up to buy a house these days. So my phone's been getting lit up ever since, you let these guys know that you might be willing to make a move and they're just pounding your phone, which is good. I appreciate the hustle. I really do. And so, now I think that you're going to see the pitch from realtors that's going to say, they're going to start showing up. Say, we told you you should have moved while rates were below 7%. We only had 2.5 months, or, I guess it was a month and a half. You should have pulled the trigger. And now you better pull the trigger before they go back up again. And for me, it's just funny to watch this real estate reset play out. It's happening slowly, right? It's a lagging deal. We're so used to the era of FOMO, instant gratification, markets moving 24/7 in crypto, pumping up 100% in a day, that really most of us just don't have the patience and or understanding, and the short-term memory loss that we forget what happened during the Great Financial Crisis similar things playing out. This time it is different. It's not the same market, absolutely not, but definitely still breaking. And we definitely need to understand the real estate reset and how it's going to impact us. And so, the 10-year backup, the 2-year backup, and the DXY was back up as well too. Let me flip on back over to that. I'll show you what I'm talking about. And this is why crypto was back down today. Your DXY back up, and we see this inversely correlated with crypto. Bitcoin just kind of chopping sideways here in the overall crypto market, hanging out sideways. Speaking of crypto, let's get right on into it. So one thing that we notice, a little trend in regards to Ripple partners, they're all growing literally across the board. I mean, obviously some partnerships have fallen off, right? They lost MoneyGram after the lawsuit, and maybe a couple others. I'm sure that they sat down at the table and maybe some folks just weren't interested. Their business in the US, as we titled this episode, was non-existent. They weren't able to build their business in the United States. That's about to change. Going to show you that here in 1 second. But we just see it time and time again here. This one shared here by Wrath Economan. Ripple payments partner Neum has received 2 licenses from India for prepayment instruments and payment aggregators. The cards, I believe, are prepaid INR. Neum uses what was ODL in some corridors, and those acquiring licenses. Interestingly, for the acquiring license, they are planning an online space for merchants, streamlining fund flow processes and integrating cutting-edge technology into websites for smoother checkout experiences. Now, this doesn't cite Ripple. This doesn't cite XRP. You can see right here, though, case study page Neum. This is directly from Ripple's website. And so they're all over it. And obviously, the corridor in India is one that is available for on-demand liquidity, not just through them, but through additional partners as well. But the reason why I bring this up is because we're seeing that all of the Ripple partners, they're now offering all these other new services. They're able to offer all these new deals, new corridors. We're seeing some of their partners are acquiring other companies as well, similar to what Ripple's doing, right? Still in a position of strength. And so it's almost as if, I'm not saying that partnering up with Ripple, makes your business that much better. Maybe it's just that Ripple has been picking strategic partners and solid partners that aren't going to be going away, right? Some of the partners might not have had the appetite to work with Ripple while this SEC lawsuit was going on. And primarily we're talking about US companies, but maybe some outside the US. But we continue to see outside the US firing it up in India, firing it up in multiple other corridors, right? With 70 plus payout markets now that they've achieved with nearly 100% global coverage, right? Truly impressive. Now let's get into it. So we got the response from Judge Netburn, and she ruled that the SEC gets all of their wishes, right? And I just printed out the documents too here. I got this. Might have to add this to the red folder, right? And I had out my trusty pink highlighter. I was highlighting this up. And I did drop a video yesterday kind of breaking this down. And I think I'm going to do a separate video too, going straight to the court documents to add a little bit more insight, breaking down what's really at stake here. But I just wanted to show you this theory that I came up with while I was looking over these documents and everything. And it was this one right here. So I asked the question, could this not be a checkmate reveal for Ripple? Now they get to show the world how much demand for XRP there actually is, also how successful ODL has been even during the lawsuit. Even heavily redacted versions of these documents could reveal a lot about Ripple, ODL, and XRP. Now, what am I talking about? Well, there are 3 things that the SEC was trying to get, and Judge Netburn has granted the SEC's wishes, and Ripple's going to have to hand over it all. First off, it's going to be the financial statements for 2022 and 2023. So, you're going, the SEC is going to get to take a look at that, and once again, we're going to see how much of this is redacted. I had asked Bill Morgan this question, and he did respond to my tweet right here. My little theory, he responded and he says, I expect Ripple will seek to have much of the sensitive parts of these contracts sealed, especially counterparty names and price information. And he's consistent with his answer because we were having this conversation just about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And when this was getting talked about, I asked him the question, would this make some of the ODL contracts public if the judge orders discovery on them, which she has now granted? And Bill responded with the same thing. Ripple could apply for anything ordered to be discovered to be sealed or partly sealed as to the counterparty's identity in commercially sensitive terms. So financial statements, probably going to have some redactions, probably maybe going to be sealed up, maybe completely sealed up, right? They're not a public company, so their right to privacy should be respected. Just because a lot of us in the XRP community would like to see these documents doesn't mean that we're going to get to. Now, the ODL contract. So the SEC gets to see the financial statements, 22, 23. Then they get to see all of the post-complaint ODL sale contracts to institutional investors. So basically, at any point after the SEC filed that lawsuit in December of 2020, all of the contracts for institutional sales get to be viewed now by the SEC. These are the contracts that we're expecting will probably be heavily redacted if they do get released, or maybe they'll just be completely sealed up. But if they do get released, even heavily redacted, where we don't get to see the names of the companies, we don't get to see the amounts of XRP that they bought, but we might get to peer in, right? We get to put the pieces together and get additional insights into Ripple, on-demand liquidity, and XRP. And like I was saying, this is a crazy conspiracy theory, but, that's what we do best. That's, we like to have some fun, right? And so I just asked the question. I said, well, what if Ripple just said, hey, sure, take a look. Our business is successful. On-demand liquidity is growing. There's a lot of institutions that want XRP. And they could do so in a way that would protect the privacy of these companies and how much XRP they bought, because we would all be decoding, reading between the lines, and we would be piecing this together, and it would give us significant insight really into Ripple and how they've been growing with on-demand liquidity and XRP. So nonetheless, we did get this order here today from Judge Netburn. The SEC's wishes have been granted on all three parts of that. I'll probably drop another video on that. But in the meantime, watch for Ripple to hand this over, and the discovery portion of remedies is where we're at right now. And the final deadline is February 12th. So here, what are we at? The 5th. So we have a week left to go, basically, before this should be done. Okay. So this should be done, and then it's going to be up to the court to decide what is the fine going to be. And that's why this is important, right? Because now the SEC is going to get to take a look at these contracts, and if the original amount right now that we're dealing with is $700 million. Original fine was $1.3 billion, but Judge Torres ruled that not all of those sales were investment contract securities, only the institutional sales, and the institutional sales was only $700 million. Well, we have billions of dollars worth of ODL sales that took place after the SEC lawsuit. So now we're going to watch the SEC try to make the case. Hey, Judge, we're not talking just $700 million. We're talking $3 billion. And so instead of serving up a fine for $20 million, this fine needs to be $200 million. This fine needs to be $500. Who knows? Knowing the SEC and how they operate, they'll just suggest that we should shut down Ripple completely. Shut down Ripple completely and kill all XRP holders. They have no shame until they finally have been getting pushed back in the courts. God bless the judges here in the U.S. that are standing up. Now, as we titled this episode, it does appear, though, that Ripple feels incredibly confident. One, I'm making the point that the fact that they were able to do all these sales after the lawsuit tells me that they went to their lawyers and said, hey, we've been sued. We want to keep growing our business, structure these contracts in a way that we know for certain that this is not an investment contract, so we can keep flipping the switch and growing our business. So I'm 100% confident that they understand that these are not going to get them in trouble. And they obviously have a level of confidence because they just released and put out that post. Oliver Segovia, Ripple's senior director and head of product marketing, is put out the announcement, right, that they're going to be offering new products for Ripple payments in the U.S. So despite all this going on, despite the SEC, getting a little victory, right, partial victory in this case, Ripple doesn't seem to care. They're flipping the switch. And so I got this article. I wanted to show you guys that this is getting picked up by financefeeds.com. And we already covered this, right? This came out just a couple of days ago. But this Oliver Segovia, he dropped this low key on LinkedIn. And he announced that After a relatively quiet period of 3 years in the US, Ripple Payments is ready to unveil new product updates. So we're talking new products, maybe announcing some partnerships. It's the flip of the switch moment for the USA is coming quickly. I mean, it's basically happening. These updates are powered by the company's money transmitter licenses that cover the majority of states. Now, what gets interesting about this is they announced Adian, Marqeta, and Plaid to explore using Ripple XRP in the US. So right there already, you got 3 partners already announced here in the US. You know what's even more interesting about this is Adian is listed on that FedNow website as well too. They've been implementing that and getting tapped in for FedNow as well. So this is why I'm not going anywhere. I don't care what the haters say. I don't care that if XRP goes down another 50%, I don't care. You're not going to shake me out. I understand where we're at in this cycle. We're in the final moments, right before we get the Fed pivot, right before the the bottom falls out on the traditional stock market. Real estate reset's already underway. Inflation's not going away, and most people aren't going to make it. I have sympathy for that. It's not easy out here. This is a struggle that we are all in. I get it. But when I look at the fundamentals, nothing has changed. In fact, the fundamentals have only gotten better. So just because life's hard out here in the real world, our businesses are feeling it. When we're trying to feed the family, we're feeling it. Just because we're feeling that does not change the fundamentals. So we can't be emotional, and we need to see clearly right now. He who stays focused longest will win most, and we have to remember that. Right now, a lot of distractions, a lot of chaos. Stay focused, bring order. That's what we're here to do. Stay locked in. You guys already know the deal. I appreciate everyone for stopping by, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care. I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.